Today was lawn day. My little buddy and I worked on this. Turned out pretty nice, I think. And in the process of this, I was trimming around this new tree that's growing in, and I got all excited because there's a Bible thing about it. I was like, I gotta get a camera. I gotta talk about the thing. So here's what happened. About, 2-3 months ago, we flipped seasons and we had this big willow tree, and it was a beautiful tree, but it just didn't come back in. It died. And this really tall tree was just a husk of itself and completely wrecked, and so we cut it all down and did all the work, and all that was left was a teeny tiny little stump just an inch above the ground. And so I gave my little buddy, my 10-year-old, hatchet. I was like, dude, just go pulverize that thing. You can wail on it as much as you want, and that'll kind of chunk it up, and we'll start gradually pulling it out in little bits and see if we can make the stump go away. So he's out there hunched over it like a little hobgoblin, wailing away on the thing for like an hour, and he didn't do much damage, but he had fun. It got dark or something, we went and did something else, and so we forgot about it for a few days. And I come back out a few days later, and I'm like, all right, let's get back to work on this. And then I look closely, and there's life. This little perfect green shoot of teeny tiny little baby willow is shooting right out from the edge of the tree. And so I said a minute ago at the beginning of our conversation that there was a Bible thing that came to mind, and it's about this motif in the Old Testament, this idea in the Old Testament that there's going to be this eternal kingdom that comes out of the line of David, and that redemption and life and the kingdom of God are all going to come out of this the royal regal line of the great and famous King David, who's the son of Jesse. So it gets sometimes called the line of David or the line of Jesse. And that's great, and it's exciting, and everybody's all fired up about that because there's hope and stuff to be optimistic about, and God's going to redeem the world and take care of his people. And then weirdly, politics happen, history happens, and the Jewish people, the Hebrew people, lose their country. They get hauled off into captivity, and it looks like there's no political mechanism by which those very grand promises of God could be fulfilled. And so understandably there's despair and turmoil, and as you get toward the end of the Old Testament, that's the big question, is how can any of these really important, really needed things, not just for Israel, but for all of humanity, possibly come to pass, because the news cycle for the last few hundred years have completely ruined it and wrecked it, and it's impossible. But at the very end of the Old Testament, there's these prophetic words, this language, this hint that there's still this glimmer of hope, even though it looks politically like there's no hope at all. And the idea here, or the metaphor here, that I think happens in Isaiah 11, is this notion that there's going to be a shoot, a branch that comes up out of the stump of Jesse. In other words, just like what happened to me with my willow tree, the new life out of something that seems completely, totally dead and hopeless. And so there's this glimmer of hope that people are clinging to. And then a few hundred more years go by, and then you roll into the New Testament, and Matthew opens what turns out to be the first book in the New Testament by pointing back to that glimmer of hope and being like, see, remember there was something we were supposed to hope for. And he does so by connecting Jesus to the line of Jesse, or the line of David. And so it opens with that big genealogy that covers all of that stuff. Fast forward a little bit, and throughout the book of Matthew, we see people who rightly identify Jesus as being the king and the authoritative one who was promised in the Old Testament, and one who has the power to redeem. Every time they see him, these people who recognize him call him the Son of David. And so that theme becomes more pronounced, and then it's very overt toward the end of Romans. I don't remember exactly what chapter. Paul spells out that Jesus is that promised shoot, that promised little bit of new life, that glimmer of hope that comes out of what looks like the burnout, wrecked stump of Jesse. And then Jesus himself is credited with claiming to be that shoot, that branch that comes out of the stump of Jesse in Revelation. Again, I don't remember exactly where it is, but it's in there, I'm sure. And so, two reasons, I guess, I want to turn on the camera and make this little video. Reason number one is because I just never seen that phenomenon occur before. I've only recently gotten into gardening and working on the lawn and trying to make trees grow and things like that. So for me, it was mind-blowing. And I'm sure if you're like, yeah, well, that's how plants work, the idiot. I mean, everybody knows this. Well, I didn't. And so I thought it was really cool to see new life come out of something dead, and then to think about that Bible principle that I'd heard of before but had never seen the metaphor that goes along with it. And so when I saw it, I got all excited. But the second reason that I think I wanted to do this little video is because I don't know how you're doing right now, but I've been, I don't think discouraged is too strong a word. The world has been tough lately. And I mean, you look around, and in actual life, like, stuff's beautiful. It's green, it's summer, my kids are playing, my relationships are good with my friends, but it just seems like every time you turn on any electronic device, you hear more about horrible things happening and hopeless things happening. And after a while, the world starts to feel a little bit like that burnt out stump. It's wrecked, it's hacked up with a little hobgoblin hatchet, and nothing is going to come out of it. It looks like it's maybe a time for grief of beautiful things passing on. And then I'm out working on the yard, and I think about this stump thing, and I think about that little shoot of green that, well, is no longer a little shoot of green. That tree is now 9.5, almost 10 feet tall, and it's only 2 months old. And it's just a shoot that grew up out of that stump. And likewise, you see what I'm driving at here. Stuff can feel dead and broken and ruined. This is not the first time in history that we have felt a general societal malaise or discouragement or shared heart hurt or even blamey heart hurt. We've had these moments of hurt and difficulty and being awash before. And I guess I just found big time reassurance today in thinking about the stump and the shoot that's come out of it that I've been nurturing for the past several weeks, and how it emblemizes or serves as a reminder of the fact that when things seemed hopeless in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there was this idea that there is a God, a deity who has his hands on the wheel still. And while things might seem broken from the narrow human political perspective, there is something much grander at work, something much more pervasive and irresistible and redemptive and beautiful and powerful at work that's bigger than any of us, or bigger than any of our silly proposed political or military solutions to things. And I take a lot of solace in that. Thanks for sitting out on the porch with me and thinking about things that are redemptive and good, and God's providence through the story of the Old Testament and the cool imagery of the stump and a shoot that comes out of something lifeless and provides us with encouragement and optimism. All right, I think that's plenty. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour. Let's do this again soon.